protects it from all the heat and the elements of space. It basically is, it's a one-of-a-kind for this vehicle. There is no other engineering models or qual units or anything like that. It's a one-unit critical item, so if this were to get damaged or something like that, the mission would be over with before we launch.
Most people on the mission believe that the entry, descent, and landing phase, that 10 minutes when you get to Mars, you go from 15,000 kilometers per second to 2.5 meters per second in 10 minutes, and transform the spacecraft from this capsulized vehicle down to a lander with legs out. That's just so much to do in such a short period of time with absolutely no margin for error. Thank you. Once we get through that entry, descent, landing, we're safely on the surface. We got 90 days to get things done, and then time starts running out. I work on other lander missions, but I think most people will tell you that we've spent more time on Phoenix testing the surface phase of the mission than most lander programs typically do before launch, because we've got such a short window on the surface to get things done.
We have to do what we call planetary protection assays. So what we do is we verify that we're not delivering any kind of spores or contaminants to the surface of Mars. So what we do is we clean and prep the bottom. Our planetary protection guy comes in and he does the sampling, and then what he does is take it to his lab and he puts it in Petri dishes and he cultivates it for 72 hours to make sure that we don't grow any kind of organisms, molds, so on and so forth.
The engineer's function is to really provide the means for the scientists to be able to carry out their investigations. One cannot exist without the other. Right? Peter Smith is our PI. Peter's a great guy, and the bottom line is we're putting this mission together and we're going to go fly this so Peter and his scientific team can get the science that they're looking for. It's a pretty cool thing. If you're an engineer, it doesn't get any better than building a lander that goes to Mars.
For myself personally, the relief's going to come when we land. Everything up until that point is a step to getting to landing. Launch is a big milestone, and on an orbiting mission, it might be the biggest milestone. But on this mission, having been through the loss of Mars Polar Lander, I felt relieved on the day that one launched. I'm not going to feel relieved on this one. I know that we're working towards a landing as much as we are, more so than we're working towards a launch.
The mission is a kind of mega team made of smaller but still grand teams. NASA gets the mission off the ground and into space. Lockheed Martin designed and built the spacecraft and operates it during its journey and throughout its life on Mars. JPL handles navigation and takes over flight operations for the nerve-wracking 7 minutes of entry, descent, and landing. The University of Arizona is responsible for the science. That's armies of people. Upwards of 250 people work on this mission. Mars has been a career for some and for some families.
I'm second generation working here for Lockheed. My father had previously worked on the Viking missions. He worked on both 1 and 2 landers there. And like I had said in the past, I worked on the 98 landers, and now I get the opportunity to work on the Phoenix lander. So now I've been building spacecraft here for Lockheed for 27 years.
The human aspect is what makes the whole thing work. We have great computers, we have great technology that help us design and fabricate, but what it comes right down to is the thoroughness and the dedication of the entire team that is really necessary to put one of these things together and to understand the behavior.
After 2 grueling weeks, testing is complete. The TIGA team accompanies their instrument on its final terrestrial journey.
It's been a long road, but yes, definitely excited that we're finally going to get on the spacecraft and go on to the next part of this mission. There were several times where all of a sudden it just seemed like it just was not going to happen, and so we've had our share of disappointments and are ready for our share of excitements. So it definitely will give all of us a sense of closure and an ability to say, all right, now we can focus on the next part of this mission. We're we're all pretty excited to get our lives back, but our families are probably pretty excited, and our friends are probably excited for us to get our life back too. They have, for the most part, I think they think most of us have disappeared into a black hole that's